Hey everyone, it's Game Fruit Pulp, and welcome back to another Minecraft Building Toronto video. In this video, I will be going over something really exciting with you all, something that I don't think many people are expecting, because in this video, I'll be showcasing a newly completed block that falls outside of our current building perimeter. Not only does this block fall outside the perimeter, but it was also built entirely by builders that you have not previously seen on the Minecraft Building Toronto project. If you're excited to see this large expansion to our map, be sure to hit that like button. Now, jumping right into this new addition, we have to make our way to the east end of our building perimeter, and then leave that perimeter to find the buildings that we'll be looking at for today's video. Crossing over Church Street, north of King, we will find a block with many different things to offer, most notably being a massive park and a beautiful church. There is a ton of history associated with this church, which has been on our map for many years without the surrounding area being completed, so we are going to start off by looking at that. Sitting prominently in the southwest corner of this block is the Cathedral Church of St. James, one of the most historic structures in the city of Toronto. Now, this historic church was an area that I knew would be important to our map in the future, and with that in mind, I wanted to make sure that I had someone build it who had a particular skill for capturing the details of churches. With that in mind, I actually looked outside of the Minecraft Building Toronto team to get someone to build this church. This, however, wasn't a recent decision. The Cathedral Church of St. James has existed on our project for almost 3 years, as our original plan back then was to work east on our map. As many of you would know, we have had 2 map remakes instead and decided after that to work in a south direction. The builder who created this beautiful church is Creeper2357. I found Creeper back in 2021 in a video by a friend of the channel Alpine where they showcased Creeper's take on the famous Notre Dame Cathedral. I was so impressed with this building that I wanted to bring them onto the project to build with us full time. At the time, they weren't able to make that work, but Creeper was kind enough to build this church for us instead. It's important to note that the church was built with Minecraft version 1.8, well before copper blocks were added to the game, and although I think copper may improve the build, I ultimately decided that it was best to keep it in its original form. Before going into the details of what makes the church so great in the Minecraft version, let's first take a look at some of the history of this church. The Cathedral Church of St. James is the location of the oldest congregation in the city, with the parish being established in 1797. The church, with construction beginning in 1850 and opening for services on June 19, 1853, was one of the largest buildings in the city at that time. It was designed by Frederick William Cumberland and is a prime example of Gothic Revival architecture. A quick interesting side note about the architect Frederick William Cumberland was that he was a member of the First and Second Legislative Assembly of Ontario after Canada was established as a country in 1867. I thought that this fact would give some context to the level of history that we are dealing with here at this church, things that outdate the birth of Canada. Construction began on the church on July 1st of 1850, and the Ohio Stone and Brick Church was opened to the public in 1853. Its original organ was built in 1853 by Samuel Russell Warren. Upon his death in 1867, John Strawn, Toronto's first Anglican bishop, was buried in a vault beneath the high altar. It was not until 1873 and 1874 that the tower and spire, the transepts, and the pinnacles and finales were completed by architect Henry Langley. The spire was the tallest structure in Canada upon completion and would remain so for another 25 years until the construction of Toronto's Old City Hall. The tower's clock was installed 1 year later. As with all buildings built in this era, there have been a number of renovations over time to ensure that the building remains in a usable condition for the public. This cathedral is featured in a book that I often talk about on the channel when building historic buildings within the city, Toronto Then and Now by Doug Taylor. This book is one of the things that originally got me interested in building Toronto Minecraft because of all the hidden history within the city. As always, if you want to check out this book, look for a link in the description. This isn't a sponsorship, but more of a paid forward type of thing for a book that inspired me to do something that I think turned out pretty cool. Anyway, the book included an interesting fact that I thought had to be included in the video. At the entrance of this church are a number of headstones of those who are buried in the old cemetery that is no longer open to the public. Among those headstones is the headstone of John Rideout, who died in the last pistol duel in the town of York, later to be renamed the City of Toronto, on July 12, 1817. Wow, how the times have changed in our big city. Moving back now to the version of the Cathedral Church of St. James on our map, I think that the build by Creeper2357 is a reminder that you don't need a bunch of fancy slabs and stairs to make something look accurate and beautiful. The exterior of this building is a mixture of sandstone and birch planks, which I think provides a good facade for the church. The roof is a mixture of green and lime terracotta, and like I mentioned earlier, I think that copper may be a better fit for the building if it was done today, but I wanted to keep it in its original form as I think that this roof palette still looks great. Moving now to the interior of the building. I love the way it was captured, and again it is an awesome look back at the past in Minecraft when we had less to work with and had to be creative in order to capture details. Creeper did an excellent job on this church, and I'm so glad that I sought them out to build it for our project. Now moving on to the rest of the block, which I'm sure you've also seen is finished. I'm really excited to share that we have a new builder on the project who completed the rest of this block as their test builds to join the team, and I'm sure that you will all agree that they will be an amazing fit for our team. I'm excited to introduce Maxwell and their builds to you all. Maxwell was tasked with completing the Banquet Hall, St. James Park, and the 2 buildings on the southeast corner of the block, which in my opinion are very oddly placed buildings. But that's neither here nor there. When looking at Maxwell's work here, I honestly don't even know where to begin. The level of detail here is incredible in every aspect, from the details of the organics and playground structures within St. James Park, to the details of each room in the St. James Banquet Hall, which includes rooms like the vestry where the priests store their robes for church. I don't think it would be possible to showcase all the details of this building in a video, so I encourage you to check them all out for yourself by exploring this area of the map the next time you visit our server. I do, however, want to touch on my 2 favorite details that Maxwell captured on the block, starting with the interior details of the St. James Banquet Hall. This building includes a bunch of unique rooms that were all captured within the building. As I mentioned before, the basement includes a vestry where priest clothing is stored and is next to a tunnel that can be taken to access the church. The amount of time and attention to detail that was spent on this interior really shows, and it's honestly one of my favorite buildings on the map because of that level of detail. The other detail that I wanted to focus on is at the east end of St. James Park, and it is something that visitors to the map have already been checking out while visiting. This is the playground area of St. James Park, which looks exactly like a playground would in the real world, and there's some other Easter eggs in the area that are definitely worth visiting as well. Overall, this block is one of the most detailed and most interesting that we'll find on our project, and although it falls just outside of our building perimeter, it was one that was definitely worth finishing. I'm so excited to have the skills of Maxwell on our team, and I can't wait to see what he builds on the project in the future. That is going to be it for this video. We're quickly closing in on our 7-year anniversary on the project, and I'm hoping that we're going to have some big buildings finished before then, so stay tuned for some exciting Minecraft Toronto content in the next few weeks. If you want to check out the project for yourself, you can do so with a Minecraft Java account by joining our server at BuildingTO.ca. If you're a new viewer and enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that subscribe button to catch future content on the channel, and if you want to check out older Building Toronto content, you can check out the playlist on my channel page. If you're a returning viewer and you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and share the channel with your friends so that we can continue to grow our community. Thank you all for taking the time to watch the video. I hope that you enjoyed it. This has been a Minecraft Building Toronto video. My name is GameFruit Pulp, and I will catch you guys all next time. Have a good one.